Hey everyone, welcome to a Grim Dawn video guide. Today, I'm actually a little proud to present that I think I have cracked the AAR Sorcerer code. This build, I've been working on for about a week, ever since AAR got its update, and I have tried lots of stuff, and I've tried lots of sorcerers, basically to learn stuff in this class combination that is basically how to build sorcerers again. I've been like relearning how to play Grim Dawn, and yeah, let's hop in the build, and I'll explain things as I go. So, in terms of tier list for AAR, Spellbinder's probably top of the list right now, and we have a guide on the way or out for that. But my main character is my Sorcerer, and I have been looking for a way to set this guy up, like I said, for a week. So, yeah, Aether Ray, we've got a 9 on it, and it should jump up to 26 when we've fully equipped our gear. Disintegration is not going to be at 22, but we do have it maxed out. Iskanders is going to be at its soft cap for the energy regen, and then Elemental Balance will be at 12, I believe. Reckless Power will be at 12. A new thing with the Arcanist is the way Myvan Sphere works now. Instead of having the total damage, I think it was decrease over time, or increase over time, whichever it was, I don't remember. Now it's just a flat total damage modified by -5%, which means you can invest as many points as you want in this, and you'll get the maximum damage absorption out of the ability. So we have this capped, so it'll overcap. Now, just as a minor note, for people that would maybe want to jump into the Arcanist and like 1.1 this thing, it's technically a nerf to how it works, because now it's like you can go and throw a few points in it, but you'll always have the -5, and you won't get the damage absorption you want. But if you overinvest in this ability now, it's a buff, because you'll be getting more absorption, and the -5 is just a -5 no matter what. So conversion is a 1-pointer. Mirror will jump up to 12. We full on cap out Inner Focus, and we have 1 point on Arcane Will, Nullification, and Mental Alacrity. On the demo side of things, this is where we have the most changes since the previous version of this Sorcerer. We have fully capped out Flame Touched for the OA, mostly. We have 5 points on Temper for the DA, mostly. We have Blast Shield capped out. Blackwater Cocktail has been added to the build at 8 out of 12. It'll jump up to 12. We're using this to reduce enemy OA. And we have a point in High Potency, so this will reduce enemy damage. 5 points on Flashbang. Or no, this is going to go up to 10, I think. And then Flashbang will go up to 10 as well. 1 point in Searing Light. 10 on Vindictive Flame. 1 on Uluzine's Wrath. 1 on Thermite Mines, and 12 on the Hellfire Mines, so we get the full Aether Res reduction there. So we're going to slap on our gear and look at our numbers. So yeah, 15 out of 12. You can see we don't actually have a +1 to all skills in demo, but I still am going to keep these 1 points around for the future. Like, if we get +1s, we'd probably pull it out of Blast Shield and move that point somewhere else. But yeah, we have these two at 10, so they OA and DA shred. And over on the Arcanist side, we have our capped out Aether Ray. 19 out of 12 is respectable. Yeah, 12 on Reckless Power, 16 on Sphere, 12 on Iskanders, 12 on Elemental Balance, overcapped Inner Focus. So all in all, it's a pretty standard mix of what I had before and some new things, specifically the Blackwater Cocktail and the Hellfire Mines. So, our gear. The Clairvoyant set was updated to have an Albrecht's Aether Ray focus. I think the set as a whole is just alright. I think a Spellbinder can get a lot of advantage out of it. I think a Warlock could get enough advantage out of it. But anything else is not going to want to run the full set. The reason is the helmet, and I don't have the helmet on me, but the helmet converts the lightning damage to vitality damage on Albrecht's Aether Ray. And that is actually a DPS drop. Believe it or not. And it's a massive DPS drop for anything that's not a Necromancer. And it is even actually kind of a big DPS drop for the Necromancer. Because there are other pieces of gear we'll get to, and I'll point out the reasons why the DPS drop happens. But, yeah, you generally, I think, are not going to be running the full Clairvoyant set, unless you want that proc. The Clairvoyance proc is pretty good, and you do get a lot of points to Albrecht as a whole, but for the most part, I think the wand is enough, and the wand is actually kind of amazing, because while you do, yes, lose the fire damage in AAR, it becomes Aether damage, and you get a giant chunk of Aether damage, and the Moment of Clarity proc, so you get some massive sustain off of this, both for your health and your energy. The Moment of Clarity ability is up pretty much all the time, which means we can relax on our energy regen, and like I said, we're focused now on one damage type, which makes this character much more easily geared. Now our helmet is actually a placeholder. The Mythic Maw of Despair, I actually would prefer to have the Outcast Secret, but I don't have a level 94 version, level 90 version of it. I would prefer that because we'd still get the +1 to Arcanist skills, but we would also get the freebie Devastations, which would help just jump our DPS up even more. But for the time being, we're going to keep the Mythical Maw of Despair. I would say you want something with +1 to Arcana skills on your helmet that is Aether relevant, that is not the Clairvoyant helmet. For this character, at least. Our offhand is an Arcanist Flesh-Warped Tome of the Arcane Blaze. Now this, you can go and buy. You can go and sort of shop farm this thing. There's a vendor in the Malmoth Resistance headquarters that will sell rare things from the Ethereal Vanguard faction, and you can go and buy these things up, and you could probably roll a pretty good one with little effort off of this. So ours gives a +1 to Ivan Sphere, which is pretty handy, but is all around just a generally solid piece of offhand. So two things here. The first is it has the line 41% vitality damage converted to Aether damage. That is part of our sustain, and that is kind of an important line for this character. It's also kind of an important line for the Necromancer for other reasons. Now, I'm actually not doing this on the Necro, but if you run Twin Fangs, half of this, thereabouts, is getting converted over to Aether, which means our Twin Fangs on Albrecht's Aether Ray can provide us with more attack damage converted to health than normally. And that helps us maintain our damage and not die. The other important thing on here, I mean, aside from the chunk of Aether damage to Albrecht's Aether Ray, is 50% lightning damage converted to Aether damage to Albrecht's Aether Ray, which means that lightning damage we have on Disintegration, that is getting converted to Aether damage. And because we're so focused on Aether damage, that is actually a DPS boost for us. And you can see our Albrecht is predominantly doing Aether damage. Very, very little lightning damage, and that electrocute damage is basically insignificant. That's what we kind of want with this particular build, is a focus on Aether. This is also why on the Necromancers is really strong, because of Spectral Wrath with that Aether res reduction. Now it is actually still strong in the Sorcerer, and we'll get to that as we go along. But yeah, I would highly recommend a Flesh-Warped Tome. Now you can use a Pulsing Shard. That is entirely fine. If you have a good Pulsing Shard, then absolutely use it if you don't have a Flesh-Warped Tome. One of the advantages of Aether Ray right now is there's a lot of flexibility in your gearing. So we are using a Flesh-Warped Tome. And I'm going to immediately jump to my amulet because it's important here, is we are running the Mythical Essence of the Grim Dawn. Again, we have another chunk of Aether damage to Aether Ray, but it also has that little bit of attack damage converted to health. So this attack damage converted to health, paired with the Vitality to Aether conversion from a Flesh-Warped Tome, gives you your sustain with Twin Fangs. Now, if you don't have a Mythic Essence of the Grim Dawn, I would recommend the Pulsing Shard, and then you could run a Conduit of Arcane Whispers with the weapon damage. Or you could run a Mythical Shard of Agrivex for the +1 to all skills on this character. You could run... I don't think you could run the Shard of Agrivex with Flesh Warp Tome and still get your sustain out of it, because Twin Fangs at that point would not be giving you back as much health, and you lose the Vitality to Aether damage conversion here. So I think the combos are either the Conduit / Agrivex Shard with a Pulsing Shard, or Flesh Warp Tome with the Essence of the Grim Dawn. So, our chest piece is the same Fate Weaver's Raiment we've been wearing for like a year and a half now. Fate Weaver's Raiment is a really solid caster chest piece that Prismatic Aura helps immensely with your defense. Now, the shoulders are essentially an open slot. We're running Stonehide Valdarin Shoulder Guard of Vitality for the +3 to AAR and +3 to Flashbang. You're going to see a lot of builds now for Albrecht run the Dawn Shard shoulder pad, which is entirely legitimate as a shoulder pad. I just happen to have these drop, and like I said, your shoulder pad is an open slot to me. You can run several things here, but the big ones are that or this, the Dawn Shard Pauldrons. Again, you get some Vitality converted to Elemental, though your Elemental damage is probably not as high. Yeah, it's not that high, but that does help with converting Twin Fangs, and you get +2 disintegration on this. The reason you want the Dawn Shard Pauldrons, though, most of all, is the Dawn Shard proc, because of the reduced target's damage for 2 seconds. So essentially it gives you a nice defensive boon off of its proc. But for me, the defensive boon, it's sort of like this tiny little like ball lightning that wanders off you and wanders back. And I think we have enough OA shred and damage shred that we can actually, mostly through our devotion, which we'll get to, and through Black Order Cocktail with high potency, that I don't really think we need the Dawn Shard shoulder guard. And like I said, a Pulsing Shard for the attack damage converted to health is really nice as well. And yeah, that was the other amulet I mentioned, Mythical Arcane Shard of Agrivex. And then Conduit, I don't actually have my Conduit of Arcane Whispers on me for Aether Ray, but that's the one that adds weapon damage to Albrecht. Aether Reach is your go-to gloves. I think this is the best in slot gloves for Aether Ray on any Aether Ray build, regardless of what you're doing with it. Whether you're doing the full lightning, Mage Hunter, this character, some weird-ass conversion on it, or the Necromancer, the chunk of Aether to Aether Ray, reducing the cost, and the Aether Cascade proc are all amazing. For pants, we have the Mythical Wraithborn leg wraps. These are mostly for that OA chunk. There's some DA and health there. And the proc, and the +2 to Albrecht and Reckless Powers, pretty nice. And our boots, these are from the previous setup, if I recall correctly. Consecrated Stoneplate Greaves of Incantations. You can pretty much run any Stoneplate Greaves. I went with these because of the fixing on them and the skill disruption protection. Though we don't have 100%, 34% is fine. It's definitely an advantage. But yeah, any Stoneplate Greaves pretty much are going to work here, as long as they fix your resistances and are generally not like Stalwart of Thorns or something weird like that. Mythical Mark of Divinity for the survivability. Mythical Phantom Thread Girdle for the +1 to all skills and the giant chunk of OA. And an Eternity for the +1 to Arcanist skills and the cooldown reduction. Now you can run a Agrivex Malice. Do I have one to point out what it does? Not on this character. So, the Agrivex Malice with its proc for the swirlies on the ground. The proc for the swirlies on the ground is also viable. It's a damage increase. And it's like, you can either go for that damage increase, or you can go for the time loop to make your cooldowns easier to manage. Oh, and rings. We have an Albrecht's Duality. Again, that actually would work really well with the Agravax Malice for the Chaos Converted to Aether. Mostly it's the OA boost and the fact that we get +2 to Disintegration here. And then the Band of the Eternal Haunt mythical version for the Aether resistance reduction. Now for component augments, we have a Sealed Blades and Bismuth Shroud for the weapon. We have a Seal of Resonance and a Bismuth Shroud for the offhand. The Seal of Resonance for the crowd control reductions. And the Seal of Blades for the armor increase. Pretty much nothing else in this matters except that. Like, we don't have the weapon damage on AAR to take advantage of the lifesteal. We don't care about the pierce damages. The pierce res is actually pretty nice too, but it's mostly for that % armor increase. Other notable things, we have a Seal of Annihilation on our amulet, and we're using Forge Fire for our rings and the amulet because of the DA boost and the energy regen boost. Forge Fire, I didn't even know it existed before now, and it's in Melmoth, so it's not even like Forgotten Gods content necessary to pick that up. Otherwise, we are just running some standard components. A lot of Ogdenbog leather, like more for the DA than the actual. Like, we have 114 overcapped bleed res. But yeah, we want to use that for the DA. And we got some armor absorption increasers around here. So our armor absorption is 95%. Not the full hundo. We could probably trade out one of these. I think that one maybe for a Scaled Hide. Good armor absorption. Our resistances are capped out. We end up with 3,000 OA and 2,900 DA. Oh, and attributes are 80, 2, and 25. The 2 in Cunning is just to troll people. Alright, so on to Devotion. So our overall Devotion layout. You may notice one change. We are not running the Imp anymore. This is not so much because the Imp is bad. It's just because the layout I needed to go for, I don't think could fit it in while I could still get everything else I wanted. So the way I would start this layout, I would actually say still use the Imp early on and then respec it later, because Imp plus Hawk will get you the Widow. And you can evolve this from that. But yeah, I basically traded out the Imp for Twin Fangs on the bat. The Twin Fangs proc helps immensely with my survivability, and I don't even have it fully leveled up yet. Like, this is a lot of new stuff, and we're still leveling up the new stuff, and as we level this up, the character will only get better from here. The other big changes, we want to pick up this node on the Quill for the % DA, and we want to pick up this node on Salamandra for the % DA, because having like 2,900 DA or close to that is pretty important. So the way we get the Salamandra is if you've gone for the Imp, that's 3. You've got the 3 off that. You only need the Eel or Sailor's Guide, and that unlocks Salamandra. Otherwise, you can pretty much, if you're like respecking Sailor's Guide, Eel, Salamandra, Hawk, Quill, Widow, Twin Fangs, well, Bat, and then you can go for your Chaos stuff. And the Chaos stuff, we need 8 to get to Aeon's Hourglass. We get that 8 through the Viper, the Jackal, and the Bat, with 1 point on the Crossroads. That gives us access to Aeon's Hourglass with our other Primordials we've picked up. And we're also doing an OA boost with the Dying Gods first 4 nodes, and a little bit of DA too. And then the other big new thing that came with Forgotten Gods is Eye of Korvac. And this is what broke the code on me running a Sorcerer with AAR. I am not even joking. I was trying so hard to make this guy work. I was building alternate Sorcerers, not using AAR, to just try and figure out things I could run. And that's where we got this. That's where we got Blackwater Cocktail, and that's where we picked up on Eye of Korvac. Because Eye of Korvac gives you OA and DA Shred, and we can attach it to Thermite Mine so it just works for free, or we can put it on Devastation if we need it popping off of us directly. But this, plus Blackwater Cocktail is an immense amount of survivability for us. And it also ups our damage because we're destroying DA. So yeah, I just did this today. Like, I am literally coming off of... Well, I failed at Shattered Realm level 60, but I'm just coming off of grinding through 55 to 60 with this. Really, really giving us a big buff for this character. The rest of the nodes are actually really good, because we get some all damage on 2 of them, some crit, some health, and 5% OA. I actually think Korvac is maybe a little better than the spear right now. Though alternatively, I will point out, you can run the spear. You can absolutely pick up Raise the Dead on this guy because of the new reduced target's resistances on this. That's just all res reduction on those skeletons, and they work really, really well. And if you want Aether Fire from the Imp, you can still pick that up. But my big recommendations are to get the Quill, the Hawk, Solemn Watcher, Arcane Bomb, and Eon's Hourglass for the stats and the cooldown resetting. I have Korvac is just like icing on the cake, and it works so well with what we're doing. And yeah, I'm excited to go in the field and hunt down some Nemesis spawns and just flatten their faces and just absolutely punch them in the face with a laser and just show that this guy works. And yeah, he did get to Shattered Realm level 60, but the boss combination, it was Kaizen and Gargable, and I can't even enter the room without instantly getting meteor clustered and just killed. So I'm gonna go pick a couple Nemesis spawns, and we'll cut in when the spawns show up, just to give you guys a glimpse at how this guy works now. That's just damn convenient of Fabius to be right there. Alright, so Fabius. We're going to want to throw down our thermite mines. He'll jump on us. We hit him with the things. And now we just Aether Ray him down. And hopefully not get stunned at any point to just get killed. So you can see that our sustain is working with our beam, and we just throw out our bombs and stuff. And yeah, we do need a potion in there, but Fabius is down. Wow. It's better. Alright, so we got the Iron Maiden floating around over there. I'm going to take out these guys in the back so I don't get stun locked. Just run into the laser, ladies. Thank you. Alright, we do have a slight problem here. In that, yeah, hey. In that, she will be regenerating a crap ton of HP. So, let's see how well we can take care of that. So yeah, we have her in our little OA reduction zone. You can see the swirling Eye of Korvac pop off. You can hear me typing in the distance as I pop all these cooldowns, and she's done. Pretty nice what we got going on here. I was initially going to do a Vault Errand to establish Aether dominance, but you know what, let's try the Mad Queen out. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Alright, so that's going to cover the guide for the Albrecht's Aether Ray Sorcerer in version 1120. The Piercing Aether Ray update. I really enjoy this character still. It took a while to figure out just what the heck I was doing, but once I eventually put the pieces together, I got something that was really strong and really fun. And like I said, it's gotten up to SR, I almost said HR like Monster Hunter, SR 60, but he kind of got hung up on the boss combination, which happens with Shattered Realm. And I should be able to get back into SR 60 on stream sometime with this guy. And yeah, he's still going to be my main character. He turned out pretty nice. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Aether Blaze. And that's a reset.